You're listening to Psych with Mike. For more episodes or to connect with the show with comments, ideas, or to be a guest, go to www.psychwithmike.com. Follow the show on Twitter @PsychWithMike or like the Facebook page @PsychWithMike. Now, here's Psych with Mike.
If I have you on speakerphone, is that okay?
That's perfect.
All right.
All right, welcome into the Psych with Mike library. This is Dr. Michael Mahan, and as you can tell, I am here on the phone with my good friend and colleague, Mr. Brett Newcomb.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. I was talking to you before we started with the mics being hot that I'm kind of ready to do dedicated coronavirus programming. I think you would agree with me.
To end it, you mean? I'm done with the whole coronavirus thing.
Yeah,
I'm tired of it.
And, so we're going to consider this our wrap-up. We may continue to do additional programming besides our Friday episode, but if we do that in the future, we're going to do that not on coronavirus.
Or not specifically or necessarily.
Correct.
We'll do it when something comes up.
Yeah. And we might even, on Fridays, we might even mention it on our Friday show, but we're not going to dedicate ourselves to it.
Fine.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah. And as a wrap-up, what I wanted to kind of talk about with you, and I haven't had this conversation with you yet, is that I'm really a little bit concerned about what's going to happen now that we're starting the reopening phase, because here we live in Missouri. We live in St. Louis, Missouri. You actually live in Webster Groves, Missouri, and I live in Fenton. And so you live in St. Louis County. I live in Jefferson County. And so here's the context of what we're looking at tomorrow, which, by the way, May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's Star Wars Day, so I'll be celebrating Star Wars Day tomorrow.
I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah, the state of Missouri will be celebrating our reopening because the governor has said that tomorrow is the day that our state officially reopens, although individual provinces, individual cities can have different kinds of restrictions. So the city and the county, St. Louis City and St. Louis County, are stay at home until further notice. Jefferson County said, we don't care, do whatever you want, have a party in the street. And Eureka, which is a part of St. Louis County, opened on Saturday. So now it's just kind of like a wild, wild west of anybody who has any kind of authority just making whatever kind of proclamations that they feel moved to make. And I'm just afraid that individuals just have no idea what's going on.
Well, they never have had an idea what's going on. It's really hard to get a perspective on what this means to you when there are lots of people running around who have not been tested, but who may be contagious and have no symptoms yet. Mm-hmm. And then there are people running around who have symptoms and are contagious, and they're still running around. Mm-hmm. It's become a contest politically about freedom and what are our freedoms, and does the government control us, and how much does the government control us, and is this all a hoax, and is it real, and how do you know? And just listen to the plethora of news media that coverage on all of this from every damn spectrum. And so individual people have to make their own best guess. Mm-hmm. I think what we'll see as time goes by is that more and more people will wear masks more out of self-protection, although I think the protection is more of others when we wear a mask. Mm-hmm. But I think we'll see that socially it's more acceptable and more people will do it. But I think people are tired of being quarantined in their homes, and they're starting to come out and demand access, whether it's the safe thing to do or not. Mm-hmm. We don't have a good, clean message in this country from our leadership about what the appropriate behavior is. I mean, depending on who you listen to, what TV channel you watch, what leaders you listen to, you get a totally different message. So there's not a consistent frame for everybody to understand what's going on. So we make our own game plan.
And we had on Eric Kaufman last week
Right.
is he's a person who does consultation in exactly this area of leadership. We talked to him, and if people are listening to this and they haven't heard the interview we did with Eric Kaufman, I would really encourage them to go back and listen to that, because I think that
Right.
was a really, really good interview.
I agree.
And he talked about something early in that interview that really radically kind of redefined for me my understanding of what I was thinking in terms of leadership. And he was talking about that, we all have the ability, even the responsibility, to be our own leaders.
To be self-led.
And to do that in a conscientious way. And I really liked that. But what I'm afraid of is that if I go out and I say I think it's silly to wear a mask because I'm not protecting me, and I don't even think that I'm really protecting you that much. I think that what happened was originally the CDC said don't wear a mask until they said, oh, do wear a mask. And I think that that came out of a situation where people wanted to do something, and that was like the easiest thing to do, to feel like that we were doing something proactive. But if I say, oh, I'm not going to wear a mask, and then I go out and then there's a lot of people that say, oh, I don't like you because you're not wearing a mask, how can you be your own leader if it's in contrast to what other people think is the right thing to do?
Well, and where do you get your source of information for helping you decide? Does it come ex cathedra, from the bishop's chair, of a politician, someone who holds office, a government agency like the FDA or the CDC, who both have radically mishandled this whole coronavirus problem? So, what do you believe? Who do you listen to? Where do you get your information? How do you make your decision? So individually, when I go out, I try to be respectful of the concerns of others and first do no harm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Hippocratic Oath. So I don't want to cause anyone else to have discomfort or illness as a result of my actions.
And I think that is the philosophy that I have decided that I'm going to subscribe to, which is first do no harm. And I'm going to wear a mask, not because I believe in the efficacy of the mask, but because I believe in the goodness of the message. It doesn't hurt me to wear a mask.
Right.
And if it makes someone else feel better that I wear the mask, then I am absolutely willing to do that.
And it doesn't put you out at all.
No.
It doesn't cost you money.
Right.
It's not stressful.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I hope that more people are like that, where they can say, you know what, I may not think that this thing that I'm doing is necessarily super effective, but at the same time, I'm willing to do it to assuage the concerns of other people. I hope that we can do that as a society, as a population, that we can think about what others might be feeling, and that we can allow ourselves to do things that may not necessarily put us out in any way, but might help somebody else.
Well, and I've been having a discussion with an old friend on Facebook, an old friend from high school, which was 53 years ago. And my comments were to the effect that the people in Michigan that were protesting the quarantine, I think they have every right to do that as a citizen in the United States with the right of free speech and the right of assembly. If they want to complain and say, I don't think the government's doing this correctly and I think they should do it differently. But my concern is, why do you have to show up with an AR-15 to make your case? Aren't you mixing your messages? I feel like if you want to protest about a particular thing, protest that particular thing and get some movement one way or the other. But don't just throw a whole bunch of protest items on the wall and hope a lot of it sticks. There's no clear messaging there. So what's your issue? Is your issue gun ownership, gun freedom, or is it the freedom to go out and shop at a store or get a haircut? What's your point? Other than just saying, I protest, what the heck are you protesting? And should I consider your argument and agree or disagree with you? It's hard to sort that out when you just throw a bunch of crap on the wall like mud and hope it sticks.
You said haircut.
Yeah, there are people walking around with signs saying, "I need a haircut. Open the world up."
No, that's the one. I can't wait to get a haircut.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
No, I think a lot of people are in that position. But if you're protesting the overall approach of the government, the state government in this case, where the governor says, these shops particularly cannot open, and these others are essential and must open. So how do they make those distinctions? There's not, in my understanding, a clear picture of how they make those distinctions.
Right, right.
So some people are saying, well, I want to get a haircut, or I want to get a facial, or I want to go exercise at the gym, and I should be allowed to do that because I'm a free American.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily disagree with that argument. I would question the safety factors and the safety procedures. Not so much are you going to get infected, but are you going to infect others?
Mm-hmm.
I'm old. I'm in a high risk category. If I go into the gym and somebody's there that's contagious and I get it, I'm the one that's going to pay the price.
Mm-hmm.
So part of it is I need to decide for my sake not to go to the gym right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you might choose to go.
Mm-hmm.
But my thought is, why should you make the statement about going to the gym or getting a haircut with an AR-15 over your shoulder? Mm-hmm. And what's your argument here? What am I supposed to be listening to? What point are you making?
And I take the message that you are promoting, which is that it is mixed, and that anytime you're mixing your message, you're actually not making a message very strongly one way or another. And
exactly. You're not communicating well.
Yeah. And I think that was really from my understanding, at its essence, that was my dissatisfaction with the Tea Party movement at its core, is that I didn't feel like that there was a very congruent or consistent message that they were promoting. And
what's the clear agenda? Yeah.
And I think that that's happening here. And, I think that the agenda then appears in my mind to be, well, the agenda is whatever I say is right.
And whatever I say in this immediate moment.
Yeah, and that's what I'm afraid of, is that people that then that promotes and really reinforces the idea of polarization. And like we were talking about with Eric, I would really love to believe that there would be some opportunity for us to be able to come together.
Yeah, a leadership of us rather than a leadership for me.
So you agree that you would like that?
I would like that. I would like the increase in the concept of community. And as a community, we should have some common goals and some common needs, and we should strive together to satisfy them.
Mm-hmm. So do we just encourage that as a way of making that happen? Is there anything that any of us can do proactively to promote that?
Well, I think it's a twofold argument. One goes back to the old Albert Schweitzer argument that it's better to light a single candle than to curse the darkness. Mm-hmm. So you behave well, you behave appropriately as best you understand it, and then beyond that, you have a concern for others. Are the people that are my neighbors, are the people in my community doing well? Mm-hmm. And if they're not doing well, is there something that I can do to help them? Mm-hmm. If there's an old lady down the street that has nobody checking on her, can I drop off a dinner that I've cooked mm-hmm. on her front porch? Not socially, not distancing, but knock on the door and run and say, "Here's dinner for you,
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Jones." Am I doing the best that I can do to be a good person and care for others, as well as appropriately care for myself and my family?
And doing it in a way that there is no expectation of recognition or reward.
Yeah, well, that's not what it's about, is it? It's about taking care of people that are lonely or scared or needy or ill as best we can, which is being members of a larger family.
Right. But I would argue those guys that were protesting in Michigan, or was it Michigan or Minnesota?
It was Michigan.
Michigan, where they were carrying the arms and they were saying...
Into the state capitol where the state legislature was meeting.
Yeah.
But is that intimidation?
Well, yeah.
What are they trying to intimidate? If you don't give me my way, I might shoot you. I just don't... That message to me is an anathema.
But I don't think that is the message. I think the message is...
Well, it may not be what they intended.
But I think that their message is turn the camera on me. I think it's one of recognition.
Well, yeah. They've
Yeah.
learned about that around the world. When
Yeah.
the cameras come on, you make your case and get attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I say you have to do it without the expectation of recognition or reward. Just like you said, that's not what it's about. But I think for those individuals, it is about recognition. That's all they want is recognition.
Yeah. At the end of the day, when I go to bed, what I want to know is I have done good today, and I have not done harm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my goal every day when I get up. Do good things and don't do any harm.
And I had told this story when we were talking to Eric, and I'm going to repeat it because I want to reaffirm it for myself. That I was viscerally moved by the pictures of Southern California, of India, of other places around the world where the smog has abated.
Oh yeah.
After only
I saw a beautiful picture. My son went to Venice, Italy this summer, and was talking about how flooded it was and how the water was so dirty. And I saw a picture last week of a jellyfish swimming in the canals in Venice that you could actually see clearly from the Rialto, the bridge, in the famous bridge in Venice. You can see it swimming along. I mean, the pollution has diminished considerably because we're not moving around and burning fossil fuels.
Which was amazing to me that we could see that kind of drastic reaction in so short a period of time. And it moved me. I've never understood why would anybody buy an electric vehicle other than to say, ooh, I bought a Tesla, I'm super cool.
Right.
But that actually moved me to the point where I am genuinely considering, even though I say I drive a Jeep and I love my Jeep, I'm genuinely considering I'm not going to go out and buy an electric vehicle and sell my Jeep, but I'm going to need a new vehicle. And when that time comes, I want to buy an electric car.
Well, I think that's an interesting proposition, and it comes back to what we were saying earlier. Can you frame or articulate your message with some clarity? Is your message here about the government's power to control your movement? Is your message here about your freedom of speech? Is your message here about this disease that's going through our community and killing off our vulnerable populations, black and brown and elderly and ill? Or is your message that I have a right to have a gun? I mean, what is your point?
Well, and I don't think that those individuals that are carrying guns in the state capitol, I mean, I'm sorry to say, but I don't think that those individuals have thought about it in the way you and I are talking about.
Well, who knows what they're thinking about? I just see the gun. I don't see
true.
Anything else.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I hear the coverage on their freedom of speech and freedom of assembly and the Constitution. I hear all that, and I respect those particular arguments, but they get lost to me in the barrel of a gun. Why do you have a gun? Why do you need to have one to make this statement?
Absolutely. I mean, I agree 100%. So what you and I are saying then is each of us can either be that person carrying a gun in the state capitol, and not literally that we have to be the person carrying a gun in the state capitol, but we can be sending a convoluted message that is not really intelligible to other people.
Clear and easily understandable. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Or we can send an honest, genuine message. And for most of us who are sending an honest and genuine message, no one in the world is ever going to probably know except us.
Well, I don't know that those people weren't sending an honest and genuine message. I just don't know what the topic was.
Yeah.
There were multiple messages being sent.
Right.
How am I to understand what the primary one is?
But they were clearly looking for recognition.
Yeah.
And
they were making some kind of a statement saying, pay attention to me. But I got lost in the process to say, well, what is it I'm attending to?
And I guess
the size of your gun or the size of your thought?
That's a euphemism.
You hope.
My point, though, would be that people who are making that message effectively are going to be making it in a way where they're probably not going to get recognition. If recognition is your purpose, then I'm not sure that is genuine or sincere.
Yeah, I don't know. It gets lost in the background clutter for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it gets lost in the background clutter, and it looks really scary. I don't know that anybody can make a genuine, sincere message about how we come together when they're being scary.
Right. I agree.
So if you're going to
If
make
you
that
scare
message,
me, if you scare me, it doesn't draw me to your argument.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
So if you're only in it for the recognition, or you're in it through power and control, and that promotes itself as being scary, you're probably not going to get a lot of people to listen to you.
Or if you have some other agenda, so maybe your fully committed moral agenda is being anti-abortion. Are you using the coronavirus issue
Mm-hmm.
as a way to restrict abortions?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, it's not a clean message. What is your point that you want me to listen to? What is your point you want me to hear? What are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you want me to respond?
So for me, then, all of that, all those people who are using the coronavirus as a reason to restrict the opportunity to get an abortion, that's about recognition.
Well, it's about an overwhelming agenda. It's a one-issue deal.
Mm-hmm.
My issue in life is anti-abortion, and so anything that I can do to restrict your ability to get an abortion is good for me. So when I come out and say, well, we have to keep the hospital emergency rooms clear for people that have COVID-19 to come in and get on a ventilator, then therefore we need to not allow any elective procedure, and abortion is an elective procedure.
Mm-hmm.
So is your issue there COVID-19 and the preparation to treat it, or is your issue there outlawing abortions?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's not a clear line of thought. So I'm curious, what is it you want me to hear? What is it you want me to agree with and understand? What's your message?
And if you are presenting that in a way where you are expecting recognition, then you're probably not engendering people to come together. I think that
Exactly.
the messages that I am looking for and that I am encouraging are those non-recognition seeking, non-reward seeking messages like you're talking about. Take a meal to a neighbor that you know is elderly, ring the doorbell, run away. They don't know who brought the meal, but the meal is there.
Doesn't have a meal to eat. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
And there's a million things that all of us could do that would be exactly like that. And those things, I think, could be powerful. Those things can, I think, bring us together. And, I remember after 9/11 when everybody was hanging flags out their front door. I loved that.
I think we all feel better being part of a larger group, part of a community. And if I understood what the points that Eric was making in our conversation with him last week, he was saying that we need leaders that bring us together as a family with common themes,
Mm-hmm.
common goals that are easily understood and easily embraceable.
Mm-hmm.
So leadership brings you along. It doesn't separate you. It doesn't stop you. It doesn't say, hey, wait a minute, notice me. It says, let's do these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hope that our leaders are motivated by that and clearly communicate that. And through our enthusiasm for their agenda and their argument, we embrace it and behave in those ways. To me, that's what leadership is about.
Amen. I think that is fantastic. I think that's a great place to leave it for today. So, again, this is going to be the last specific coronavirus episode that we're going to do.
At least we think so today.
At least we think so today. That's a great point. Yeah. And hopefully people have felt like that was beneficial. Always you can get a hold of us at psychwithmike.com. You can get additional episodes there. You can contact us. You can let us know how you think we're doing. If you think there's something that you would like us to talk about, you can send us that suggestion through psychwithmike.com. The music that appears in Psych with Mike is always written and produced by Mr. Benjamin DeClue. And as always, if it's Friday, it's Psych with Mike.